Alright, and both runners have started the countdown and they are ready, so we'll start the timer as soon as we see them. And again, good evening everybody and welcome to the race. 100% all keys. For those who don't know, it means you have to get every item, every spell, and all the keys. So, we'll make mention of certain items as we go. And we can see on Dark Magician's side, he is off. First thing the runners want to do, once they enter the North Castle, is go south and grab the magic container in what is referred to as Magic Container Cave. They're going to do this candle list. They're going to get the candle later. So what they have to do is that they navigate through these 3 beetles or loaders, as they're called in the game. Leave the third one alive, and they'll do that for a specific reason. Fight these 3 Octoroks, pick up the Magic Container Cave, and then kill the remaining loader. This sets up a pbag drop if they do it correctly. Pbag will be worth 50 experience points, and it's something they want to do. Dark Magician gets it. JSR does not. Let me move my mouse so that thing's not over his screen. This puts Dark Magician in a better spot XP-wise, 86 versus 36. James is now going to have to go north into Trophy Cave, while Dark Magician goes into Shield Town and picks up Shield. Why does James do this? Well, because he didn't get the P-Bag. So he's going to grab 40 points worth of experience in this cave. There's 10 from that Octorok, 10 from this Octorok, and 20 from this Gorilla coming up that you can't see, but he's right there. That makes up the difference. He grabs the trophy. The trophy is going to enable him to get the jump spell later on, but again, he's doing this out of order to get that 40 experience points to set up having attack level 4 when he leaves Palace 1, and that also depends on a few things. Dark Magician grabs the shield spell. James will now be on his way to get the shield spell as well. This spell is free. All you have to do is talk to the lady. She lets you in to talk to her father, and he just teaches you the shield spell. It's, you know, your basic comfort defensive spell. It reduces damage. Comes in handy many times during the game. If you see Dark Magician there on the right side of your screen, he paused a little bit on that green tile. That set up some sort of encounter skip or encounter avoiding the encounter. You let the overworld enemies spawn, and then you can quickly dodge around it. He's going to do the same thing here on this tile. Walk up, walk all the way to the coast, jump up. Oh, he doesn't do the up, but he just goes down. He's going to wait down here as well. This is setting up a skip, which he didn't get. He wants to hit that guy at this point where he's entering this encounter right here, so he can just bypass this altogether. If you encounter an enemy on the tile where you would normally spawn an encounter like this, you can just skip it by going through that overworld encounter instead. Since it's on the road, it's a free encounter, you just go to the right. Heart container here for Dark Magician and Agria. He'll kill him. Now he's got to go back through that encounter the other direction. It's a very tricky encounter and does cause some unexpected loss of life. If you're jumping in mid-air and get hit by the bubble and get knocked back into the water, it's not good. It is, you'll be down 1 life very quickly and then have to do the encounter all over again. James does not get the skip as well. And Dark Magician does not set up the encounters. He doesn't get the favorable spawn so he can walk to Palace 1 without getting hit. James does pick up the heart container. Thank you very much for that. I will set that up. I will fix that. There we go. Thank you for letting me know. As Dark Magician makes his way into Palace 1, he's going to grab the first of the keys left of the elevator room. James makes it up to Palace 1. So even though James went to Trophy Cave to get the extra experience points, because Dark Magician took a couple encounters, James is pretty much caught up. They're basically high-fiving right here while James gets the key that Dark Magician just got, and Dark Magician makes his way through the right. A couple things Dark Magician's going to have the privilege of doing first, though, is setting up what would be like an optimized XP sort of run through this palace. He's going to do this in this room. He's going to kill this first red Stalfos, make his way through this elevator, passing it to the right, and then jump over this one. Because he jumped over that Stalfos, it's going to set something up later to maximize the amount of XP he can earn. He'll jump over that one as well. P-bags are based on drops. On small enemies, a P-bag is worth 50 XP. And I believe there's a 1 in 8 chance of getting one. Or maybe 1 in 6. But it's 1 in 2. It's a 50% chance on the larger enemies, and those are worth 200. By jumping over those Stalfoses, Dark Magician and James, who just does it as well, is going to set up a P-bag drop on an enemy that is worth 20 experience points, I believe. Not, is it 30? It might be 30. It's 30 experience points. Going to set up a P-bag drop on a 30 experience point enemy instead of a 50 experience point enemy. So you're going to get 20 more experience points. That's if you get the 50% chance on the drop. Dark Magician comes out of this room that James just entered, grabbing the second key. And if we watch on Dark Magician's screen, he's going to come down this elevator. Now, here's one of the Stalfoses he jumped over before. He's going to jump over again. He's going to swing his sword against that wall. What that does is it enables him to jump over that bubble. And again, he's going to jump over that Stalfos, save him for later. He's going to hit the wall on his way down to set up the sort of bubble skip, I guess you would call it, to set him up in a certain pattern so you can hit him with your sword. He doesn't have beam sword, so it's not as effective, but that was the intent. And he makes his way over the collapsible bridge to grab the P-bag that's just sitting there, 50 points. We'll watch James do it here. He's going to jump over the Stalfos, hit the wall there, hit the wall there. He does not have beam sword either, so we'll see if he can gets through this without taking additional damage. Stuns one, stuns two, the other one goes up, and he stuns the third, so no damage. Dark Magician takes the candle. The item in Palace 1. Now it will let him see in the dark through all the caves that we, the 2 caves that we saw before, and all the caves in the future. James making his way to get the candle, as Dark Magician is making his way back over the bridge. These bots right here can be a little bit tricky. They can chip your damage away. Normally this is run in a category that is called 100% all keys 1cc. The 1cc stands for credit clear, which means that basically if you're talking in terms of the arcade, it's 1 quarter or 2 quarters or whatever video games cost now, probably 4. Dark Magician kills the Stalfos and gets the red jar. So he's missing out on 200 experience points. There'll be another opportunity for the 200 point P-bag coming up later. But he's going to play a little bit safe here, grab the fairy, refill his life. We'll see how James makes out on the jar drop here, and I'll finish my explanation about the 1cc stuff. Red jar. So unfortunate, both runners do get the red jar. So since the category is 1cc, you can only really submit a time if you never game over. In the race situation, that's really not possible because things happen, and therefore like you'll have races where one runner will just be remaining and have to complete the run, and it's not fun. So if anybody game overs, they have to make their way back to the exact spot where they took that game over before continuing on. Those bots, like I talked about before, they're one of the many things that could run into you and chip away at your health and cause an eventual unfortunate game over. I didn't notice if Dark Magician got the drop, but James certainly did. I guess Dark Magician got it because they're relatively at the same XP. Yeah, because now Dark Magician is going to place this gem. When you place the gem, you get as much XP as it takes to get to your next level that's indicated in the top right of the screen. 1,000 is attack 4. He'll take it. He'll leave 411. James will do the same. Place the gem, Get attack 4, 411. Now remember, Dark Magician has to go and get the trophy. James can make his way to trophy/jump town now and just get the spell and move on. Encounters are very important. Dark Magician's making his way, made his way through already. James is making his way through now. Didn't take an encounter. The walk up to Trophy Cave looks clean for Dark Magician. And unlike James, he has the privilege of seeing things. Takes a hit from the keys, bad ache, whatever you want to call it. And now fights the Gria to grab the trophy. Unlike the first town where the spell was free, the jump spell requires that trophy. And James is going to turn it in for the jump spell now and takes the early lead. He'll be the first at a jump spell and walk down at a jump town and walk down to the jump cave, which is the next obstacle for our runners. Down the stairs and visits the old man who may or may not have Wi-Fi. We don't know. And grabs the jump spell. As you can imagine, jump spell is very useful in jump cave because you need to cast it to jump over a jump you otherwise couldn't do, but there is a damage boost you can do to get over it and not take the jump spell. But it'd be silly to do. And 100% all keys, you're going to have to take the jump spell anyway. So that's more for an any percent run if you want. Or if you just want to show off. So James gets the small p-bag there, the 50-point p-bag. And I know that annoys people that he just never even looked. He just no-sold it and just moved on. But there's going to be plenty of XP coming up, and runners will, I won't say be set in their ways about where they're going to level, but play through it and practice enough to know that these are the levels they're going to take in these situations. They will take Life 2 in Jump Cave. Normally, Dark Magician did. James did not get enough XP for it. But he'll probably take Life 2 as soon as he gets to the 100-point threshold that it costs. See James doing a little bit of a shuffle there. And he gets to Bagu. Bagu gives him a note, and this will require him to get through the other side of Lifetown, Saria, and therefore get to Death Mountain. I don't think he took a single encounter on his way, and that's pretty hard to do for that walk. And Dark Magician will try to do the same here. We'll watch the encounter walk here. People have gotten very good at the RNG manipulation to avoid or take as few encounters as possible. You saw Dark Magician walk right there before walking left. Sets up a spawn of the enemies at a certain time, but then he still relies on the RNG to dictate if he can avoid them or not. And unfortunately, he took one encounter on the way to Bagu. And then, unexpectedly, jumps into a tile that's a forced encounter. So that will cost him a little bit of time there as well. We've seen that during a couple races. On James's side, he gets the life spell. He had to go into a different building and find the mirror under the table first, before being able to hand in the mirror to the lady to let him in and then get the life spell. Dark Magician will be doing that now, while James goes to the edge of town, shows the Riverman the letter from Bagu, and he'll be able to cross to the other side. Dark Magician's stream is buffering, and it's back. There we go. A little bit of a refill while we're in town. There's nothing wrong with that. And there we go. You know Bagu, then I can help you cross. And the bridge. So once James exits this side of town, he'll be met with a cave. And that cave is Death Mountain. Death Mountain is, I believe, 36 encounters, caves, if I'm not mistaken. You don't have to go through them all. There is a path. Mostly it's go right. If you can't go right, go down. Now he's able to take life 2 here, leaving Death Mountain. It seems that 4, 2, 3, 2 for magic, 3 for life, has been an average that I've seen people do, like an average level that runners are at. We'll see what happens here. He'll take the 2 for the magic, and then probably take life 3 as well, somewhere along the line. Gets hit by that Octorok as he fails to jump over him. Bat's causing him a little bit of trouble. They have Life Spell. Life Spell costs 70 MP to cast. They only have 80, so they can only use it once. And he did use it there. There's an opportunity, in fact, a couple opportunities to grab a red jar that's just laying on the ground or laying on a platform within Death Mountain. Like one is here, but he doesn't have the means to jump up there. Jump costs 48. 48 is 3 magic containers. There is life 3. Now James is probably going to bank all this experience for attack 5, which costs 2,000. Dark Magician does not make that jump clean either, and he does not have full magic. So he can't cast life, so he has to be very careful here. It'll probably take a little bit of time to clear the area, get rid of some of the bots, get rid of some of the aches. James gets a fortunate red jar, but the 200 points on the p-bag probably would have went further for him, being that he already has 4 bars of life, and there was a red jar in this encounter he's in right now, right at the end. See how Dark Magician does now. Alright, James is entering what we call Hammer Cave, because this is the cave where you'll get the hammer. Unlike the other encounters, it's a multi-room cave. He'll make his way right here first, and then down, but when he goes down and he goes to the right, he's going to be met with another red Dyra axe thrower. James is really good at killing him. He gets another red jar. That's quite a few he's gotten so far. Jump over lava. Be careful not to fall. You only have 1 enemy in this room, and James handles them. And now he's in the room with the hammer. 3 enemies. 1 axe swinger, Dyra, orange Dyra, a red Dyra, who throws axes. Actually, it's just 2 enemies in that room. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. And he grabs the hammer. With that hammer, he's going to break a few boulders in the overworld. The first one being directly next to Hammer Cave, as you see on Dark Magician's side, as he enters Hammer Cave now. That will give him a magic jar. Dark Magician handles that in Dyra with little problem. And he goes on to the second screen. As James enters right around the same spot, so again they get the little high five, handshake, whatever you want to, whatever people call it in this category. And there's the second red Dyra for Dark Magician. Easily handled again. Magic container for James. So now when James exits this cave, what he's probably going to do is duck back into Hammer Cave, come back out, duck into the next cave, come back out. No, he's gonna man up and go right through. Going into the caves and coming back out resets the timer on the overworld encounters. Every time there's a timer, every time you come out, That timer ticks, and at a certain spot, enemies would spawn if they could spawn. Like, they can't spawn on the road encounters. There's also a step counter as well. By ducking in and coming back out, you reduce the amount of times enemies would spawn on the overworld to take encounters. So it's quicker just to duck in and duck out than it would be to make the long run and take the encounter as well, because it is a race. You want to save time, and that kind of time adds up during the course of the race. That's why you're going to see the runners walk the different paths. They won't go from point A to point B. They'll shuffle, and they'll do a little bit of a setup first for it. As James enters Death Mountain now, there is a 1-up below him, south of where he exited that bridge. That 1-up is a savior to some people, as if they took a death in Palace 1 or in the bridge encounter, the jump encounter before Palace 1, or even in Death Mountain. That puts them right back on par with the amount of lives you start with. And like I said, you saw James do a little weird walk on the road back and forth. That's just to take as many, limit the amount of encounters he takes and set up spawns in certain areas so that if the RNG is good, he can slide right by him. This is Medicine Cave. There are a couple Dyras there. This is what I was, when I said there were 3 before in Death Mountain, this is what I was referring to for some reason. This is the medicine, the water of life. Just like the trophy we got before, this item translates into a spell. That spell would be the fairy spell in the town of Mido, or Mido, whatever you want to say. I say Mido. Fairy is very useful to avoid enemies mostly, but there are certain rooms in certain palaces where you need to cast fairy to get across to the other side. This is the second of our 1-ups right there hidden in the swamp tile. James is going to get this. A lot of people skip the first one, especially if they haven't died. Dark Magician does grab it because it is out of the way. And as Dark Magician walks up here now, his overall counter is going on longer. Number of steps he's been taken is more, and that changes the way the spawns happen. He takes an encounter on the way as a result. James will go cash in the Medicine Water of Life for the fairy spell, and then head on over to Palace 2. Dark Magician's going to take the encounter on that specific road tile to limit the amount of encounters he takes on the way to that medicine cave that James went to. So both runners did that a little bit differently. James took 1 encounter. Dark Magician took 0. I think Dark Magician's walk there was faster and didn't take the encounter, so he made up a little bit of time. He might have broke even, though, because he took the encounter and he went through the 1-up screen. So that might have been saving time there, but losing time on the 1-up. There is Fairy Spell for James. That was Downstab for James. Cast jump up there. He learns a technique called Downstab, where he presses down on the controller as he jumps. Link will stab downward with his sword. Very handy. Most importantly, it helps you get around people you don't want to fight. You can just pogo over their head. And you can cheese some enemies and even one boss with it. And we'll talk about that when we get there. Now he gets the Fairy Spell. That's our 4th spell of the race. There are 8 total. 1 in each of the towns we'll run into. You see Dark Magician takes an encounter on his way to Mido. James is going to make a brief pit stop before he goes to Palace 2. That's going to be over here on the right. This is a heart container cave. We find a heart container here. He makes immediate use of Downstab. Just pogo on top of the enemy's heads and kill him. It's fine. And he adds his 2nd heart container, bringing his total to 6 heart containers. Now, one of the places I've seen runners save or lose time is in their walks to and from places. This is one of them. The walk from Heart Container Cave to Palace 2. And I forgive me if this has a name to it. I don't know it, and I don't have a right-hand man that's in this tournament here with me this time. But you want to get through these encounters with as little, walks with a little encounters as possible, obviously. Taking the encounter on the road counts as like a half encounter in terms of time. But you ultimately want to make it there by avoiding everything. Was not able to do that, but no big deal. We are in Palace 2 now. Palace 2's item is the glove. And there are quite a handful of keys. The first one being on this bottom floor of the first elevator. We'll go right a couple screens. Dark Magician is just getting fairy now. So James is 423, and like I mentioned in Death Mountain, he's setting up to take Attack 5, which is 2,000 experience. He should get it inside of this palace before the boss. And then at the boss, take Attack 6 and leave the palace 623, as I am joined by... Hello, Digshake.
Hey, sorry, man. I got the time zone mixed up.
How you doing?
Oh man, yeah. I feel bad that I missed the first part of this race.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll catch you up. JSR, 2Gamers1Nerd, or James, as he's referred to, is in Palace 2 right now. He's grabbing the second of the keys in the dungeon. Dark Magician is on his way to Heart Container Cave. Actually, he's in Heart Container Cave now.
All right. Yeah, I can see him. I got him up. So it looks like 2Gamers1Nerd has at least a minute or two lead there.
Yeah, and just to catch you up and anybody else who's joined us late, what happened was in Magic Container Cave, Dark Magician was actually the one who got the pbag drop, the 50-point pbag drop. James then went to Trophy Cave to make up the XP loss from Magic Container Cave, but Dark Magician took a few encounters on the way to Palace 1, which basically what happened there is James passed him in Palace 1 because Dark Magician took too many encounters on his way from Candle Cave to the Heart Container and then to Palace 1.
Oh, okay.
And then since there, James has been smooth sailing. Dark Magician took the one up outside of Death Mountain, and James bypassed it, so James gained a little bit of ground there. But other than that, everything's been pretty much even. James had to save himself there. He had to cast Fairy, because we're not going to see this room again, and there's a key in it, and it's 100% all keys. Casting Fairy, you can't pick up a key. So he would have to leave the room, come back. So he just left in the quicker of the exits, and then came back and was able to stab the key.
And that has happened to me multiple times, especially recently. It feels like it's been happening to me a lot. Really annoying.
I tell you what, I mean, like, there are a lot of spots in this game where, like, you take a little bit of chip damage and you take an unfortunate loss of life and it can add up. But, just trying to go too fast in encounters that have water pits or lava pits can be very detrimental for you. It's something you could have avoided if you waited 5 seconds maybe, or more, and just didn't jump immediately.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you're trying to put together like a PB run, then you got to gun it. You don't have a choice. You just got to go. But if you're in a race situation, it's a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different approach.
Yeah, you don't have that luxury of resetting if things go wrong. I tried to go as fast as possible. I got knocked into lava. Okay, I'll hit reset, start the timer again. You have to deal with that, and you have to find a way to deal with it. James just picks up the glove. That's the item in this palace. It enables you to break blocks. And the boss in Palace 2, Helmet Head, is behind a wall of blocks, essentially, in one of the rooms.
Yeah, surprised the glove wasn't in 5, but I guess this is a generous seed.
Yeah, I always say to people after 100% all keys run, I like, talk about the seed. No, wait, no, you can't. I'm hooked on that. But James is on his way towards Helmet Head now. This is the aforementioned room with the blocks. You can't get by this unless you have the glove. So even in an any percent or anything with I don't even know if there are glitches to bypass this. They're probably not. You'd still need to pick up the glove anyway. And I think one more room. And then we're actually, no, we got to pass this elevator, go to the next screen, grab a key.
Yeah.
And then we come back, go down the elevator. Yeah.
You get the infamous Larry stairs room. With the,
oh, yes. But,
going the wrong direction, but, you know.
Yeah, I think that's why nobody has really made that jump, because everybody who plays this game plays it in the wrong direction. So they don't have the opportunity to make said jump. But yeah, I'm glad the Angry Larry moniker is actually attached to something positive, finally, and not negative. Again, people might be cringing when our runners pass up pbags, but there's a goal, there's an end goal, and there's in their mind they know where they want to be in certain situations. And James did take attack level 5. Now he needs to take up to, I think, 400 experience. Yeah, he's got to get over that 400 experience mark to set up getting attack 6 after this, and the boss is worth 200, so he is there.
Actually, I believe it's just he's got to get over 200 is the barrier.
Yeah, 200. But yeah, that's what I mean. He's there now because the boss is worth 200. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I said it backwards. I said it and then did my fact. Yeah, I said it, then did my fact checking because the sheets on the dresser behind me taped to the side. I ran out of space on my desk, so I started taping stuff onto furniture to reference. And there it is, the gem. And the 1458 experience, actually 2458 experience he'll get as a result of placing that gem that will give him attack 6 whenever the counter counts up. Dig, do you want to talk about soft locks?
Oh boy, do I want to talk about soft locks. Yeah, so if you take a level up, right, as you're exiting the screen, exiting the very edge of a screen, the screen will lock up. You'll still hear the music, and it'll keep playing, and the game is still technically running, but Link is gone, everything's gone, and you can't proceed. It's basically game over at that point. So,
and since the runners are not saving during the match, they have to, if they want to try to win, they have to start all over from the beginning and hope that they catch a huge break, and it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, in the past I've seen, I don't know how many soft locks have happened in this tournament, hopefully not many, but in the past I've seen runners offer to do a rematch if a soft lock happens, because everybody's been there before, and it's not the way you want to end a race, especially a tournament race.
No.
There's a couple spots in particular where they tend to happen more frequently, and one of them is actually coming up here at kind of towards the end of Palace 3. There's a room that's kind of notorious for potentially soft locking you. I'll try to point that out when he gets there.
James makes it through the fairy cave and the island that contains Palace 3 clean. Doesn't take an encounter, and he's now in said Palace 3. Palace 3's item is the raft. Sorry, the raft. And
the what? The what?
It's the raft. And
okay.
You need to cross the ocean to get to the eastern continent, where the second half of the game technically exists. James takes a unfortunate death right there, though.
Yeah, very early on in the palace. Not what he was hoping for. He's probably a little salty about that one.
Yeah. And
did he take how many 1-ups has he taken? Did he grab the desert 1?
He only took the one in the swamp. Dark Magician took 2. It looks like Dark Magician only has 1 extra life. I must have missed him dying somewhere. Unless he didn't take the one in the swamp, but I don't think that would be the case, so.
Everybody grabs the swamp. The debate is about the desert 1-up.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing PB attempts, usually you skip that one. But in a race setting, it only costs you maybe 5 or 10 seconds to grab it, and it's a lot less time than having to come back from a game over. So
it takes that, like I talked about before you joined me. It takes a little bit away from the setup walk to the medicine cave. It's, spawns enemies at different times and stuff like that, but ultimately you do want to take it if something tragic happens before you get there. Most people tend to skip it if they're okay at that point.
Yeah.
And Dark Magician is using Fairy and Fairy Cave, just like Jump Cave, and you saw it when James did it. It is named thus because it is required to get through. And this leads to the island that Palace 3 is on.
Really not too far behind. Still just maybe a couple minutes behind.
No. He saved some time. James took a death. James failed to pick up 2 keys cleanly. One being right there, and the other one was when he saved himself in Palace 2. So we're chipping away at the lead, and anything can happen later on, including having enough lives to take planned deaths to save time to go back to the other end of the screen, like in Palace 4.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those lives to take, you're going to have to run back through the room, and if the other person has the luxury of expending a life and is comfortable doing it, then they'll save a few time there, and James just takes another death by jumping right into the bot as it's jumping at him.
Wow, that is really bad news for him.
Yeah, that is 2 deaths right there.
So he's down to his last 2 lives, and he'll pick up one more one-up on the route, but...
He almost did it there. Actually, does he get 1 more or does he get 2 more? I'm trying to remember on his past runs. He'll get the one that's out of Maze Island.
Yeah, that's the traditional one that people get on the route. There's 2 other ones in the game that people usually skip. One in the swamp south of the River Devil, and then one in Palace 6. I guess there's 3.
There's the one in Great Palace as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He might take the one in Great Palace if he's hurting later on, especially since most people suicide before Thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll take that to set up the being able to do that. He's in one of my least favorite rooms in the game. In any version, any category. The room where you grab the key. I believe it's referred to in this community as the Minecraft room. It's the stupid idiot polar bear room in my family.
I've never heard that before, but okay.
Oh, the Minecraft room? I've heard it, so I don't know. It might be called other things. I'm not familiar with the terms of stuff, and I apologize for that in advance and before as well.
So that room that JSR went through actually is the room I was talking about before, where you have a larger likelihood of soft locking just due to that doom knocker right by the door there, often putting you over the threshold to take a level at that point in time.
Yes.
You kind of got to keep an eye on your XP as you're going into that room and think a little bit ahead so you don't soft lock yourself on the way through.
So James took Magic 3 in Palace 3. He set himself up to take attack 7 while placing this gem, but he also lost 2 lives in the process. Dark Magician opts to take life 4 and not Magic 3. And he's going to try to get to that threshold where he's probably going to take attack 7 as well. I don't think he's going to try to take Magic 3 and attack 7, but I'm not too sure how much XP is left in this dungeon and how much James may have left behind just because he was already at that threshold to do it.
So with James' current life situation, he can't really afford to do any of the traditional death abuses. And I guess he could do 1 death abuse in Palace 4.
It is very risky because then they'll just put him on 1 life. If anything happens in Palace 6, let's say, that has the same room that he died in Palace 3.
He'll get the 1 up, so he'll have 1 life that he can burn. And then, You usually burn a room in Thunderbird and Great Palace, but it's definitely doable, especially if you pick up the Great Palace one up to not have to do that potentially. Or so theoretically, if he picks up the Great Palace one up, he could still do 2 death abuses in Palace 4, which is pretty standard actually.
The one up in Palace 6 is very tricky because
Oh,
you need fairy, you need magic, and then there are 2 fast bubbles up there that drain
yeah,
it.
it's a real pain in the ass. I can't ever imagine a situation where I would think that would be a worthwhile thing to try and get.
No, he does make his way across to the east, grabs the water, gives it to the parched lady, and he's going to get the fire spell, which has basically one use if people choose to do it in a 100% all keys run, and that is to shoot some tektites on your way to or from, probably mostly to, New Kasuto. Most people just tend to ferry over them. And there's your attack 7 for Dark Magician. Again, opting for life 4 over magic 3. And he's going to make his way back to the raft spot to then join James on the eastern continent. James is going to go through Firetown Cave. I don't know what the real technical name for this is. And be on the way to Maze Island. At Maze Island, he's going to grab the child, the kid. The kid's one of the items required to get a spell, Reflect, which is required to beat the boss of Palace 4. But the walking to and from Maze Island and the town of Darunia where you get said spell is the tricky part here, Dig.
Yeah, I mess these encounters up so much, and it's so annoying. Although you just saw James do a great job getting to Maze Island without taking an encounter there. There's a very specific route you can take that has a pretty high percentage chance of avoiding the encounters. I don't think it's guaranteed, but it's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, and he's very good with practicing the encounters and learning them and taking pride in learning them just so he can save time. He's very much a run against his PB kind of runner.
Mm-hmm.
To then want to learn these tricks. He's going to take this one up here, and I believe this is called the Dazzle Walk. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He's going to wait here for the encounter to show up and then begin his run.
Yep, that's right. The timing there is crucial. You got to have good reflexes. You can kind of use the music as a cue to help you decide when to leave there. But it's a pretty tight window. You see, he almost took. Oh, and fairies. Wow, just barely missing that fairy encounter.
And he doesn't get the encounter skip. It ultimately leads to taking the overworld encounter on this tile to bypass this screen altogether. With a couple of pits to fall in, it's a longer encounter, and it's dangerous, but not too dangerous. He's able to skip this one, though.
So when you're playing this game normally, fairies could be a nice break from the norm. You get that life refill, and you get a break from the enemies coming at you. But when you're doing a speed run, fairies are your worst enemy because their movement patterns are entirely random. You can actually kind of predict where the other encounters are going to go. It's not like set in stone, but you can sort of have an idea. But with fairies, it's like all bets are off. They just get in the way of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. James does a little trick there called Fairy Claws. Cast Fairy when you crouched, and it enables you to go down that chimney. I believe that was discovered by Highlander. Normally they would do a super jump, but super jump tends to be slower if you miss it on the first try.
Yep.
And then it takes several tries before that's even slower than just going around and jumping on this building that James is underneath now and going the long way around.
Yeah, I've seen a lot less super jump ever since that Fairy Claws trick was discovered.
Yeah, it's more MP, but if you set it up to cast as you're being refilled, it's nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. And even the time loss compared to super jump it's very, very small.
Yeah, Dark Magician makes a good walk to this area, and also gets trolled a little bit as the overworld enemy moves as he was trying to skip the encounter. So he's got to run through it there too. No time saved. Gets a bad spawn there, a back spawn. And I don't think he skipped it. Nope.
It's that one twice.
Yep, that's the second time right there, I think. He's just going to opt to run through it. This is the harder of the two encounters because of the bubbles coming up from the ground. More of a chance you can make that last jump right there as a bubble hits you and get knocked back.
It looked like we did have a very brief Darunia high five going on there, so just to show how close these runners still actually are.
Yeah.
The towns take a lot longer than you think in this game, though. I mean, it's a pretty big chunk of time.
Yeah, both players have to run through that, though, and there's not really much time to be saved in the towns, except you got to make sure you don't double talk to the NPCs, and you kind of get off the menu as soon as the game allows you to. But for the most part, they still have to walk through it front to back the same duration. Let's see how many encounters James takes here on the way from the desert. There's one.
That's one of the few parts of the route where there is really no standard path that's available for encounter skips.
There's an
kind of gotta
yeah
pause and see where they are, and then adapt immediately.
There's an optimal path, but that optimal path is not 100% guaranteed to miss everybody. But there are some times where you could miss everybody. The spell in this town is Reflect, like I said before. Dark Magician is on his way to get it right now. Get the kid you saved from Maze Island for the Reflect spell, and that is required to beat the boss in Palace 4. The Maze Island has encounters all over the place, but the paths the runners will take will lead them to one encounter that gets them another magic container like James just got right there, and only one encounter with enemies, Dig Shake, this one right here.
Yep, and it does have a couple of bears and a Tektite, so those can be kind of annoying. Those bullets, too, deal a lot of damage at Life 3, so you do want to be a little careful.
Mm-hmm. But now it's clear sailing until Palace 4. You won't take any more encounters. It's now just the walk and the time it takes to do it.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see what he does about the death review situation here in Palace 4. With his current life situation, he can take one. If he's planning to get a one-up later, he can take two. So we can kind of gauge based on what he does now, whether he's planning to take that one-up in the future or not.
He'll go down to start and then go to the right. The item in this town is the boots. In this palace, I'm sorry, is the boots. The boots enable you to walk on water in specific areas. It's faster to leave Maze Island by walking through the water. And it also leads to Palace 5 and a heart container that's in the ocean as well.
Mm-hmm. And how you were supposed to find that heart container just playing this game casually, I have no idea.
I think that's, yeah, I mean, you just got to walk in every tile and be like, can I go left? Can I go right? Can I go left? Can I go right? And then eventually find it, I guess. But
yeah. It's kind of trolly, too, because, I mean, you walk right past it on your way to and from Palace 5.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, when I got the game new, I just went on the internet right away and then found out all the information and then played it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't. But here's the room that James is in. When we're talking about death abuses, typically in a PB run, or like if you haven't died yet, maybe not in that screen, but there are two other screens just like it, you run all the way to the other side to the dead end, jumping over the lava, and grab the key. It's faster just to then, after grabbing the key, jump in the lava. Then you restart at the beginning of the screen and you just walk left to the next room. Without having many lives and taking 2 deaths in Palace 3, James can't really afford that. So at least in that room, he doesn't do it. But Dig, there's a room with the Raws. And that's the one to worry about, because that's the one that could unexpectedly knock you into the lava. You think he's going to skip that one by taking the death abuse?
It's hard to say. If I were in his position, I would at least do the next one, because you do need a certain amount of magic to get a key later on in the level, and he's kind of running low.
Mm-hmm.
That first one that he skipped is actually, that's pretty standard. You see people skip that death abuse all the time.
Yeah.
It's this room right here that'll kind of give us an idea of what he's planning to do.
He didn't cast magic to jump, so probably not going to plan to die then.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. He does get a jar there, so that's
Now he's going to cast jump because he has the jar. Oh, man, that was lucky
oof,
he had jump, I think.
yeah.
Because he got a little further before he got hit, although he may not have gotten hit if he didn't jump as high.
Really, jump on the way back was not nearly as necessary, but
It was free, but again, it wasn't. Well, I mean, he didn't. Well, he did break the blocks on his way there anyway, so yeah, it was free, so he took it.
and we see a dark magician not taking a death abuse there either. I'm not sure what his life situation is at.
I believe he's at the same amount of lives as if you would have started the game. So he, well, actually, one more now. I didn't see him die, but I saw him pause the. I saw his spell menu pulled up, and he had, it said ×3, and then he got the 1-up outside of Maze Island thereafter.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think with 3 1-ups on the ground, that means he died once somewhere.
Yeah, he's showing 4, which means he could take 2 death abuses here, and that'll help him catch up a little bit of time on JSR if he decides to do that.
The runners are allowed to watch each other in this category. So
That's correct.
I don't know if he has James's screen pulled up to know where James is at, but I don't know what he's doing. Some sort of jump stab there before he grabs the boots.
I'm not sure either. I think he might be mad because he's actually down a magic level right now. He could easily take magic 3 here, and he didn't. So he might just be venting a little frustration at the fact that he skipped that magic level.
Well, he can't cast Reflect. Reflect is 120 at Magic 2.
Yep. That's going to be a big problem.
So what does he have to do here? That's going to be a huge problem because he can't just die and game over and lose all the experience. He's got to get 8,000 points before he's able to then take another level.
No, he's going to have to game over. If I was in his spot, I would grab this key that's over here and then take a few lava baths, honestly.
Get back to an easy spot to get to that's not out of the way, and then just haul ass to get there.
He has the boots, so he can get back, a little bit easier than if he didn't have them. He won't have to come back to this half of the palace the second time around. But
well, he'll have to come back to the room where he game overed in.
Oh, so, that's true. Yeah, he will.
There's the raw room I was mentioning with James. This is the third of the rooms.
Well, in that case, it might make sense for him to just go back to the start room somehow, and then I don't know.
Finish the dungeon up until Carrick, and then die in the lava in the breakaway bridge maybe before Carrick.
Well, no, you don't want to go all the way to Carrick because he's going to have to walk all the way back there anyway. So, well,
I mean, it's the easiest thing to do, and it's on the way back to Carrick. But yeah, certainly he has to do some of that. There is a possibility to go to 5 and somehow get 8,000 experience,
I think he's
at Guma, but that's going to screw him up the rest of the run thereafter as well, whereas just a game over and a walk back will,
I think I don't know what he's going to do. I also wonder if he realizes the trouble that he's in.
Well, the whole jumping stab that made us aware of it, probably when you said he was probably venting at something, that's when I became aware of it, trying to understand what he was venting about. And certainly I believe he's aware of it. Question is, how far is he going to go before he does something about it? There's not 6835 worth of XP in this dungeon. As we see James now casting Reflect back at Carrick. Interesting to know Carrick is the only boss that it doesn't matter what your attack level is. It takes the same amount of hits to kill him as attack 1 as it does with attack 7 or attack 8. Which attack 8, speaking of, James will place the gem and get attack 8 now.
Yep. James had no problem clearing that dungeon. Ended up with way more XP than he needed, which honestly, that happens to me too in this palace. I always end up with just way too much experience.
Yep, he's going to go down here, make use of the boots to get out of Maze Island, make use of the boots here typically you would get the heart container first, but now new meta, and I'm not too sure how new, but it's newer in the strategies that I read leading up to this, is you do Palace 5 first, because if you do the heart container after, it sets up a walk to the River Devil to avoid encounters or take the encounter exactly where you need to take it thereafter.
Well, you can also use Fairy to get the heart container and then get a free magic refill from taking levels. So
yes, okay.
That's another advantage. It's been like that at least since I started running the game a year ago.
Okay.
Oh wow! Did we just see an eco key there? We sure did.
We sure did.
Awesome.
He's been practicing that, by the way, for like I would say 20 minutes, maybe before the race. But it's something he likes to do. Again, just like the encounter walks, if he ever places to save time, JSR is going to make sure that he knows about them and does them and understands them enough to pull them off reliably. And that was very nice for him.
We see Dark Magician queuing up Reflect here. I think realization just dawned on him that he's not going to have enough magic to cast it.
Yeah, I saw 120 when he paused up, because you're a little bit ahead of me, I believe. But, yeah, because now he doesn't know what to do. Because now he's, I don't think he's frozen on my screen.
No, he's sitting there contemplating what to do. And really the only answer is you got a game over. There's no other answer. You got a game over.
Yeah, got a game over, or go to Palace 5. If you want to progress, just you can go to Palace 5, but again, it's gonna really screw you up because you have over 6,000 points worth of XP to take. And your levels at the end of the game, they're not going to be where they need to be. Probably.
DM is here in chat asking me what to do. Yeah, you need the game over, dude. That's the only way.
Well, if he finds a place to game over, he just has to make sure he goes back to that room, passes through that room. And I don't know if it has to be the same spot. I've never really got an answer on that. But,
it just has to be the room, even if you just duck in the room and leave right away. That's good enough.
And again, that rule is in place because of this category is normally run with 1 CC, 1 credit clear. And if you're racing, that's really not viable. So they allow people to take game overs, but to not abuse the game overs by going back to like North Castle and stuff like that, and maybe having an easier walk to places. That's in place so that if you do game over, you have to go to the exact spot you gamed over, just to kind of even that in case of, because there's going to be a gray area. Did you mean to game over? Did you not mean to game over? And that takes all that out of play. If you game over, you have to go to that spot, and that's it.
I think so Simple's telling him to backtrack later. I mean, the more that I think about it, it seems like backtracking might be a little bit faster. I don't know. He does have the hammer, so getting to the raft spot is trivially easy.
Yeah.
And he's got the boots, so getting back up here is also not super complicated. Going to Palace 5 seems like a reasonable idea, because then you can...
it looks like he's going to go and take the route to New Kasuto, grab that 8 magic container. No, he's going to take on Palace 5.
Yeah, now the problem here is you do need to cast... Well, I guess you just need to cast Fairy once. You do need jump in a couple of spots, but there's a lot of magic in Palace 5. I guess the bigger issue is he doesn't have a lot of life left.
Still need the horn, okay. Yeah, he does need the flute to get to New Kasuto.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a lot of life left, and Palace 5 has a lot of high damage enemies, so and casting life is just going to make this magic situation more stressful than it already is.
There are 2 places you have to cast Fairy in 5, right? No, 1. Okay. Just there. Just there.
Just
okay.
the one, and then one place that you have to cast jump, and another place that that people usually do cast jump, even though it's not strictly required. in the block room.
Yeah. So he's going to go at it, and like you said, he's got low life. So one of the things here, hey, listen, if he makes it through to Guma, if he gets the places the gem, if he gets the XP, if he's able to take Magic 3, then thereafter by walking through Palace 4, everything's good. He may lose a life on the way to Guma, may game over anyway, and now all that time between game overing intentionally within Palace 4 to game overing naturally in Palace 5, that's a huge time sink right there. We'll see what happens though. And there's a death right there.
Yeah, well, he's out of magic, and you usually cast jump in this room. He jumps soon anyway, so...
Yeah, and let's not mention the fact that you take the game over, you're throwing away 2 extra lives in the process. So something that can be useful later on in the game, in case of mistakes or miscalculating jumps and stuff like that.
Yeah. Normally, you would lose those lives to death abuses in 4, and he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. So really, if he games over, he'll be up, he'll be ahead of life from the normal route.
Okay, that's fair enough. So James,
he also doesn't have attack 8 since he couldn't place a gem in 4. So you saw that Red Iron Knuckle took 2 hits instead of the usual 1, and Guma's going to take not many more hits, but a few more hits.
No, but speaking of Guma, James is at Guma. So not only did James complete 4, but he even completed 5 before Dark Magician could right his ship and complete either of them. So this is it's a really unfortunate spot for a Dark Magician to be in. James is really good in the Guma fight. He's not happy with that. But that's still faster than most people would probably kill him.
It was faster than I could have done it.
Yeah, he's very good at getting inside the hitbox after the first chain swing. And just getting in, down stab, appear on the other side, come back through the left down stab, and see you later, Guma. So do you know this walk to explain it after the heart container here?
Yeah, the river dance?
Yes.
So there's a couple ways you can do it, but the way I typically do it is after you exit this water container, you just go all the way to the left as far as you can, and there's a dead end there. And you typically wait just a very short amount of time, and by doing so, you line up the step counter and the timer in such a way that you will not only skip encounters on the way to the River Devil, but you'll actually be able to skip the first fence encounter as well. Typically, there is a pause involved. I haven't seen James pause anywhere.
I don't think it's a pause. I think it's replaced with a shuffle step to another tile, like in one direction, to kind of consistently do the pause. But he got all the way through, used the flute, which is the item in 5 that you just saw a Dark Magician get prior, skipped the first of these encounters, and now he's in the second of 3 fence encounters.
Yeah.
On his way to this new part of the Eastern Continent. It was very well done.
Yeah, flawless execution there.
And by the way, he's on PB pace, I believe. Or maybe not. Maybe he's 1 second over. Maybe that was just he saved seconds on the last split. Yeah, he's over. Yeah, that's right. He died twice. He shouldn't be on PB pace.
He's a minute or so behind PB pace.
So you duck into that bridge encounter, walk up through that swamp tile, and you just kind of, like we said before, you just kind of making a path for yourself to potentially get through clean to the new Kasuto Cave.
You'll see a lot of people try to pause buffer through here, although James is just pedal to the metal. I mean, at this point, he's so far ahead that he can afford to be aggressive. He can just go for it. Not have to worry too much.
Yeah, he doesn't even ferry through here knowing he's going to get a magic refill in New Kasuto. He's just kind of running through. Takes a couple hits, so it was a little dangerous. But nevertheless, he's really only 1 more kill away from the next level, which is Magic 7. And again, that would give him a refill anyway, so. But he might want to... I think he wants to save that for a certain spot. I'm not too sure, though.
Now, do you know if... I saw Dark Magician in chat, so he's kind of listening to us. Do you know if James is listening to us?
No, I think James shuts down. No chat,
okay.
No mic, nothing. It's just him versus the game.
He has no idea that he's light years ahead right now.
I don't believe so. He may have chat open and not communicate, but he's very tunnel vision when he plays, especially in races. He gets nervous and he doesn't want to any distractions.
I'm the same way. I shut everything down and just go.
So we're in New Kasuto. The spell in here is the spell. And what that enables him to do is open up, reveal a building in the third screen of this town, which contains the magic key. He skipped another item, which is in the first screen of the town. That requires 7 magic containers to get the 8th magic container. He skips it because casting fairy here enables him to pick up this key without making a big scene by holding it above his head. And picking up that 8th magic container on the way out is a free magic refill. So he doesn't have to get the magic container, go all the way back there, use the spell, use fairy, and then come back and get a refill of life. It's all optimized. So
here we see a Guma fight for Dark Magician. So he has cleared 5.
Didn't see him take another death, which is very good. He's at 724. He's going to get 8,000 experience. Probably take attack 8. There's no reason not to.
No, I think you have to take attack 8 if you want to get back to your proper leveling. And so he could head back to 4 now. In fact, I would suspect that's what we'll see him do. Head back to Palace 4.
Probably the least amount of backtracking doing it now, as opposed to doing it beyond the River Devil and then having to go through those encounters again and stuff like that, for sure.
He should easily be able to pick up Magic 3 on the way to Karak and still be able to get enough to get his proper leveling at the gym.
Yeah, you guys skip, when you run this, you skip a lot of enemies once you get to a certain spot, or certain enemies that you don't even want to deal with. You leave a lot of XP on the table to be where you want to be at the boss fight. So like I was saying before you joined me, a lot of people might cringe on the fact that people leave pbags and don't kill all the enemies. Well, if you over level in magic and life, it's going to be harder to set yourself up for optimal attack levels at the boss, and that saves time ultimately. Like a kid, you took everything as it came, but then you learned a little bit better.
Yeah.
I used to grind grass encounters for 50-point pbags at level 655. I remember.
I remember John Wayne, who's also in this tournament. He used to say that he would grind bots and bits in the very first encounters outside of the Northern Palace
for pbags.
And which has got to be the slowest way to do it. But
it's exactly how I remember it too. Just right there by the spot that you get the 50 pbag on, and then the grass around it, just to get a little bit more. James is gonna make the jump over here. He doesn't cast jump. He makes it. There are no keys in 6, other than the ones you get from the mini boss fights and the boss fight itself. So the last key he picked up in 5 was in fact the last key. Dark Magician may have all the keys as well, but he's got to go through 4 here to fight Karak and place the gem. And like you said, he's got to set himself up now to place the gem at optimal levels. Magic 4 is 700, Life 5 is 800, so he's got to get 800. Well, not even 800 worth of experience.
He
100.
Took a magic.
100.
He already took a magic level, so he's good. He's good on magic.
Yeah, because Karak gives... Karak gives you 300, so he's got to be at 500 XP at the boss fight, 501 or whatever.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
So here are one of the mini boss fights in Palace 6. Another Rebanak fight. And James is trying to do the quick kill with attack 8. Doesn't properly knock him off.
That swag airborne kill, I love that.
Well, he didn't properly knock him off the first time around, and then got hit on the way back. That's right. Carrick is 301. But he did it. This is the item, and as the cross, it enables you to see invisible moas. Does it have any other use, Dig Shake?
Nope.
Yep, no other use. Invisible moas, which are a pain, but
I guess its other use would be trolling people in randomizer. That's about it.
Actually, I love it in randomizer now for the amount of times I've gotten hit by moas.
So I think we are going to see a Karak fight here. He gets a jar, so I think he's managed to conserve his lives. I think he's actually fine to just basically proceed as normal for the rest of the game.
He has as many lives as you start the game with, which is perfectly fine for this spot, because like you said, you'd burn the extra 1-ups anyway, saving time in the palace.
Yep. So he's back on track. I mean, he lost a lot of time, unfortunately, due to that leveling mistake, but he's back on track now.
He might be a full palace behind. By the time he gets to 6, James might be done with Barba.
Yeah, I think James will be done with Barba because he's still got to go to Hidden Town before he goes to 6. So, and James is almost to Barba. He's just got a few hits left.
Yep. 6 has a few rooms to it, but it's relatively short because you don't have to go through the whole palace to pick up all the keys in all the corners.
Mm-hmm.
You just can streamline yourself right to the cross and then right to Barba thereafter. So Dark Magician is going to make his way back to Nubaru and make his way past the River Devil. He's not going to get the encounter skip.
Nope.
I might still... No, he does not.
He should cast Fairy, yeah, because he's going to take some magic levels first. So.
Here's our second sub-boss fight against the second Rebenak.
Now, I guess he's actually a magic level behind, because he would have normally taken a magic level in Palace 5, but he didn't. He couldn't do that because of the misleveling. So is he taking it now?
Well, he does want to ultimately get to probably attack level 7. Sorry, magic level 7. Thunder is then 100. And I don't know if he casts Jump or not, but Jump would then be 12, or Shield would be 16, so he can cast both Thunder and either Shield or Jump thereafter. But if he's only at Magic level 6 by at Thunderbird, it costs 120 MP, and that would only leave him with 8, and he can't do anything with that.
He did take an extra Magic level there compared to what you normally would do, since he was 1 behind. I think that was actually a really smart move, because... Mm-hmm. There's lots of experience in between where he is now, and Barba himself is worth a huge chunk of experience, so he'll have no trouble
700
making up the deficit.
James went for the quick kill, but wasn't able to do it. Got a couple cycles in.
2 cycles, it looked like?
I think it was 3. I think he spawned initially, spawned on the other side, and then spawned in the middle.
Yeah, DM's only about 1,000 experience short of where you normally would be, but that's very easy to make up at this point in the game.
Yeah. You gotta kill a few things you normally wouldn't. You might skip on the way to Barba, and that's it.
I mean, I think he'll get there even just playing his normal game, because you gotta kill a bunch of stuff on the way to Barba anyway, so...
Yeah. So James is going to be ferrying in all these bridge encounters from now into the Valley of Death, which leads to the Great Palace, Palace 7, whatever you want to call it. This is Thundertown, abandoned town of Kasuto. We're going to get Thunder. Thunder's required to beat probably the end boss of the game, Thunderbird, although there is a little twist after that. I don't want to spoil it for people. Dark Magician is now in New Kasuto. Where are some spots here, Dick Shake, that it can go horribly wrong for James?
I mean, Valley of Death is just basically a whole big pile of horribly wrong, so... That's my least favorite part of the game, even more than Great Palace. I hate Valley of Death. Those MOAs are just, they can be super trolly. And, yeah.
It costs 40 to cast Fairy, but it also costs 24 to cast Spell to turn them all into bots, and then still worry about them jumping into you and knocking you in lava anyway. But then you're left with no magic left when you enter the Great Palace.
Right, well, he's going to take a magic level, so he's only a little less than 500 away from a magic level, so the common strat is to take a magic level at some point, either on your way to Great Palace or in Great Palace.
So what you see James doing here is he's missing this encounter skip, but he's got to move right a little bit, so he scrolls that screen. So when he comes back off screen, this red jar right here remains there.
Yeah.
If he doesn't scroll that screen and comes back, that jar despawns. And he doesn't have that magic refill we're talking about to therefore cast the spell here. And then at this encounter skip as well, which he misses, he'll go back and do it again. You can fairy through them, but that's very costly with the magic. He misses yet again.
That encounter trolled the crap out of him. It was on the tile, and
then he gets a back spawn, which he has he eats, and then has to set it up again.
You can see he's not happy with how this
no.
Right now.
And again, I don't think he's up to date on Dark Magician's unfortunate situation, so he might be racing his own internal clock here, getting a little bit nervous, putting a little bit of pressure on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So with every encounter skip he misses, he may take more may take more mentally than is required. Chip away at damage, and then you get to the Scorpion or Max. And
the room that he's in right now with those MOAs is probably one of my least favorite rooms on the route.
Yeah.
See how much damage he took there. I mean, he was at near full health, and
yeah, you think 8 heart containers, what can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And you go through one encounter, and now you have only 3, and you're trying to preserve your magic so that, well, you have no magic right now.
Yeah, he can't even cast spell on this encounter, so he needs to be a little careful.
Yeah, you got through that relatively clean. I wish all encounters in the Valley of Death were like that.
So killing this Lizalfos here is the typical strat to help work your way towards getting that magic level. You can see he's only about 150 short, and he'll be about 50 short after he kills the next Lizalfos.
Well, yeah, and that's unfortunate because now he can't cast Fairy in the first room in the Great Palace, which people do to skip the spicy chicken that's in their way.
Yeah, one more Moa and he would have had it, but...
And it was intentional to be at that amount of XP, at that time to set up the refill. So, again, you do other things earlier in the race, take pbags, level up quickly. You may not arrive at that destination that you want to be at. So that's why pbags is skipped, enemies is skipped, stuff like that.
So he actually takes a death there, but it's not a problem since he has more lives than he normally would at this point of the game.
And a safety 1-up just to screen away in this palace as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be grabbing that though. He's fine on
not
lives
at all.
unless
something disastrous happens. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 2 this live and another life.
Even depending on where the death is, if he dies close to Thunderbird, he, still nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah, again, you need enough magic to be able to cast Thunder at Thunderbird. It's 100 MP at 7, and that's 6 1/4 magic containers. So as long as you have that, you don't have to find magic or abuse the death. There's also jars before Thunderbird. Red jars, 2 of them, in fact, have a possibility of spawning. You can get them to spawn. It may take a little bit of time because Red Fokker could spawn instead. But normally a death abuse is preferred because that's quick and easy. And getting the jar to spawn sometimes is not.
Yeah, the fast runners will not rely on those jars dropping. In a race situation, though, I mean, certainly not unusual to see somebody trying to go for those.
No, especially taking chances early, losing the lives, and not being able to afford that suicide even after grabbing the one up.
He is taking a lot of damage here. He's down to about three boxes. So he does need to be a little bit careful. Wouldn't really want to, dying right now is not an ideal situation. Not a good place.
No, not at all. He had a very tough time with that spicy chicken, and it's just chip damage, chip damage, chip damage.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if we'll see him try to grab the jar out of this room for safety. Because the room coming up is not an easy run. Yeah, and he gets lucky. He does get the jar.
Yeah, he had the potential to get a jar on it would have only been a blue jar, but on a drop as well. This is the least favorite of the honeycomb rooms because it has the blue Fokker on the other side. Am I correct?
Yeah, this is the one. Once you know the strat, this room is, I mean, it's annoying, but it's actually pretty fast compared to some of the other honeycomb rooms, especially with the bras in them.
Yeah, make your jumps. Don't mess up, and it's okay. Break the wrong block, and that thing is on top of you, and that's unfortunate. Oh, there was a specific name for that blue Fokker in there?
Scott Bakula, I believe.
Oh, Scott Bakula? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
Nice dodging there by JSR.
Yeah, very, very nice. There is a jar there. There is a fairy there. There is a 1-up on that screen on the other side. But we're okay. We'll just move on.
Yeah, he's fine. He's got one more spicy chicken to get past. I would cast fairy here. You got the magic. You're about to take a death abuse anyway. What's it matter? But
yeah.
I mean, I guess he could save himself a few seconds if he goes into Thunderbird and he's got enough to cast Thunder.
He does not, though. He only has 80. He needs...
oh, okay.
Yeah. This is where you'd normally death abuse, but we're going to go down. Are we going to look for a jar, I guess? Or he might just death abuse on Thunderbird himself. No, we're going to actually go jar hunting. And he gets it. Cast life, refill his magic, and we're on.
He could have cast Thunder. Thunder's only 64 at Magic 8, so he had enough.
Oh, I'm sorry. Magic 8 he's on. My bad. I'm sorry. I have 7 on my mind. Because he took the 8 after inside the palace, right? Okay.
Yeah. So we got 2 boss fights going on here, a Barba fight and a Thunderbird fight.
James is trying to get up there and do the whole wiggle the controller, get multiple hits on. Takes a few hits. He's on his last bit of health here.
Taking a lot of damage.
And just he's making use of Reflect there.
Wow. How he dodged those fireballs, I do not know.
I believe Reflect plays a huge part of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it shrinks your hitbox, but even in that situation, it looked like those fireballs were headed right at him.
Yeah, even the ones where he was standing right up against the platform, but I believe there's a specific technique to do it. And my specific technique is to smash the controller in my face and hope he dies. But one day I'll learn it. And we're on to Dark Link, and this is the plot twist. Here's your final endgame boss.
Takes a stab to the face. Yeah. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal, and we expect him not to die on his last life to Dark Link. Very easy strat. You go to the left of the screen and you swing your sword. The only time Dark Link really can hit you is when he jumps on top of you.
Yep.
And I doubt he's going to do that enough times with shield, life 6, and 8 heart containers for it to be a viable situation for Dark Magician. There's one. He doesn't even do a full bar to him, so he's got to get hit like 9 times. But there it is. Your winner, 2Gamers1Nerd, JSR, James, whatever you go by. That puts him at 3-0 against his race against John Wayne. I believe he plays next. We'll get that confirmation get the confirmation when we talk to him in a bit.
That'll be a great race. You gotta give props to Dark Magician though. He recovered from a tough situation.
Yeah, and he really wasn't. Yeah, you got to think in a situation like that, that unfortunate mistake. And I'd like to ask Dark Magician about it, but I don't really want to bring it up if he's upset and salty about it. What caused that? Like, buffering a spell, or just not being aware that you weren't already Magic 3 to begin with?
Yeah.
Hey, great game.
Thank you, guys. How are you guys feeling?
We're doing good, man. It's about you right now. Congratulations. Take us through that run.
That was sloppy. Very sloppy. And I mean, it was a good run, I suppose, but I really don't have anything to myself. I just was sloppy from start to finish. A lot of little mistakes. That death. I believe it was Palace 3. I can't remember for sure. It was the bot room, the trolley bot room. That was just bad luck. And then I got trolled in 2. Just mistakes all over the place. And that was actually my very first run I've ever ran with 886. And so
really?
a little bit of a learning curve. And I was just taking way too many bops in the Great Palace. And just all the way around, just for me personally, that was a really sloppy run. But I suppose at least a win's a win, but I'll have to go back and watch, and hopefully Dark Magician finishes strong as well. I see he's on his way to the Great Palace now. But
what do you usually run to end the game? 8.
I'm sorry?
What do you normally finish at levels?
Oh, I've been running 878, so it was V. Resner that kind of convinced me to run 886, and I have to admit, fighting Thunderbird with Reflect is a really amazing feeling. That was a lot easier than I mean, I took a lot of bops still, and of course, having Live 6, I'm not used to that, but still, it was something I'm going to have to get used to and practice a little bit. I didn't get a lot of time to practice this week, unfortunately, but I'm glad that I got the win, and I want to thank Dark Magician for the race, and you guys for the restream, man. You guys are awesome, and everyone watching, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, man.
Hey, we got some hard-hitting questions for you, though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and I forgot what they were, but but during your thing, I had a question for you, and well, I mean, basically, we counted it as you should have gotten hit like 32 times at Thunderbird, but the Reflect spell saved you.
At the end. I actually, when I was on the left side of the screen
against the ledge, right?
A rain of fireballs came down on me,
yeah.
And I dropped my thumb off the D-pad. I was like, I'm dead. And I somehow didn't take a hit.
And then you jumped into like, more fireballs after that and still managed to win. I mean, I guess that's it's a little Game Genie work there.
It was a little Game Genie work. I definitely had the cheat codes on strong, but I have no idea what happened there. I don't know if that was Reflect. That was a little interesting, but Darklink kind of got me, got the revenge on me in that fight. I was trying to go out strong with zombie strats and didn't quite make it.
You weren't happy with your Guma fight either, but still, that's an impressively fast kill.
Thank you. I've been practicing Guma tough, as you guys saw in my race against Jay Coper. I'm really working on mastering the 1 cycle. I mean, a couple things I've been kind of mastering, working really hard on, like Eco Key and...
which you nailed, by the way, in this race.
Yes. And also Barba. I just have not had good fights against Barba in runs. I mean, in practice, I can jackhammer him all day, but I haven't been able to do that. And I almost took a death against Barba. I mean, just all the way around, I'm not very happy with this run personally. My boss fights were sloppy. I made a lot of dumb mistakes, a lot of stupid bops. I mean, I'll chalk it up to being tired and work sucks, but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to race. So, and at the end of the day, it's a dub. I can't complain too much.
Yeah, and that puts you at 3-0 now.
It does.
So,
which big race next Friday against John Wayne. I'm not sure what the actual official tiebreaker is yet.
I believe it's head-to-head. It's head-to-head.
It is head-to-head.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because if John Wayne beats me, then we'll have a 3-way tie where our head-to-head against each other is all 1-1.
Yeah, I don't think it matters at
So-
that point, and I think it might be. And I correct me. Someone has to correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw Prez J Poke talk about this in Discord, where if it's a 3-way tie, then total time comes into place.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
So if I lose to John Wayne next Friday, it'll be interesting to see what ends up being the ruling. It'll be kind of exciting though. I'm really looking forward to that race, and definitely it's going to be a big race for our group, and I'm hoping I can finish strong and get in. And already I've surpassed what I thought I was going to do, so I'm already very happy.
Yeah, you're playing great, man. You've been doing awesome.
I see you practice all the time. I'm in chat when you're practicing. I'm on your channel and stuff like that. And it's amazing how far you've come since pre-bounty race of I never want to touch this game to like constant no reset PB tries and a 3-0 record within the tournament. You grasp this game very fast. How much do you practice things like encounter skips and walks and setting up stuff like that?
Well, whenever I practice, typically how I do it is I just put my my EverDrive in, and I use save states on every single screen. Like in counter skips, I'll set up a save state and I'll just run it, and then I'll mess around for a couple minutes to change the RNG. I'll run it again, and I have to give credit where credit is due, big time, to Cantaloupe Me, known as FAP, for taking the time and sitting down with me for about 4 hours right before the bounty race. Teach me those encounter skips, and he walked me through them and told me what could happen, and he really got me started in the right direction. And then guys like Rez really helping me to learn those encounter skips, and I've still got a long way to go on some of them, but that's been one thing I really am thankful for.
Unfortunately, we see a game over for Dark Magician there.
No.
He got knocked into the lava trying to grab the 1-up in the fairy room. Do you watch your opponent, or are you in lockdown mode when you play?
I don't watch any of my opponents during a race. I get too nervous, and I was actually quite nervous at the start of this run.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big race for the group, and whenever I watch my opponent, I get real. It changes how I play. If I know I have a big lead, then I might use safety strats. But if it's real tight, then I might go a little bit too hard and make a mistake. Just not being able to watch them really helps me stay true to my game, and kind of keeps me playing the way I plan. Because everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just find it less distracting.
And I only ask because I don't know if you're aware of what Dark Magician's situation was during the race during Palace 4.
I do not.
Okay. Dig, do you want to explain?
Yeah, he did not take.
Oh, I can't hear Dig at all.
Oh, you can't?
You know what?
Let me try leaving the Discord. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. I wondered. I refreshed a couple times because I didn't think he could hear me.
Okay, can you hear me, Dig?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear Dig still.
Oh man.
That sucks. Maybe you can translate for me.
There you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear both of you. Maybe you're not speaking to each other. Maybe we got a situation here I don't know about, and I have to relay between you two. So what happened, James, was that Dark Magician was on his way getting all the keys in 4, like the race calls for, and passed up a level, and I believe he was 6-2-4. And never took Magic 3, so now he cannot cast Reflect to beat Carrick.
Oh, no.
Unless he gets 8,000 XP. So then he didn't know what to do. He finished up Palace 3. There were some recommendations going on. What ultimately happened was he wound up, instead of taking the game over in Palace 4 and coming back, he actually went to 5, beat 5, cleared 5 first, and then came back because all he had to do was beat Carrick thereafter. So that was a unfortunate situation for him, and what ultimately led to the difference between you finishing and Dark Magician finishing now was as a result of that. Otherwise, it was kind of like only a couple screen away lead that you had.
He was maybe a minute or two back.
Yeah, I
close.
mean, I was just thinking that, like, I just saw him in Great Palace with a potential sub 90 time. I mean, with a mistake that big, that's impressive on his part. You want to talk about somebody who's really come far quickly. And Dark Magician is one of those guys. I mean, I remember watching him when he was still learning the game, and the guy's improved so much. And like I was telling him before the race, just anybody who is new to this game that's willing to get into this tournament and face off against some of the best in the world. I mean, I've been running the game since, like you said, since the bounty race, and I was terrified coming into this tournament. I didn't think I was ready. I thought I was going to go 1-3, 2-2, have some forgettable matches and say, hey, at least I was in it. At least I tried. But to see guys like them, like a couple of the other runners that are new to the game, that are still getting in there and facing off against the JNs and the simple dudes and apps and the errors, it's really impressive. And I just want to give shouts out to those guys. I mean, stick with it. This game's a ton of fun to run, and this community is amazing. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
And you put in a lot of work on screen and off screen, and it definitely shows. And congratulations again, and good luck to you. When did you have that match scheduled against John?
Yes, it is next Friday. I want to say, let me check real quick. I know it's an afternoon race. I'll pull it up real quick. It is Friday the 25th at 3 o'clock Eastern in the afternoon. So nice little afternoon match. And it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I'm ready. I got some work to do. If I want to try to get that dub against John Wayne, I got to really be on point.
And it's winning, you're in, right? Loss, and it's total time tiebreaker. So
yeah. If I win, I'm in. And if I lose, then I guess it comes down to what the total time is. So it'll be exciting. I can't wait to be a part of it and see what happens.
Yeah, it should be a great race.
Dick says it should be a great race.
I'm excited for it.
James
really
says he's excited for it.
The tournament, the way it's going with so many wins and ends and so many good matches, like there's a couple groups with potential ties and big matches coming up, and I'm so excited to see it. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's certainly been a lot of fun, and it's going to continue to be a lot of fun, and hopefully all these games get done before the holiday, and I think they should. I think it started right around a time where all these matches could be scheduled before the holidays and AGDQ, especially if we're coming down to the last matches right now in the group stage.
I actually think my match with John Wayne is the last match remaining.
Okay.
Honestly, it is the final match of our group.
Oh, wow.
And we were actually supposed to run that race on Tuesday this week, but we had to reschedule because he's just like I am. He's working long hours at work, so we weren't able to get on the same page, which is totally understandable. And I'm glad it's not a big deal, and we're going to be able to get the race in.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch you grow, and congratulations, and again, good luck to you during that match, man.
Thanks a lot, you guys. And I don't want to take too much of the shine from Dark Magician. I'll kind of hang low until he gets in here just so I can wish him good game.
Absolutely, man. You're free to comment. You want to comment this Dark Link fight?
Well, I have to say I'm disappointed because he doesn't have any magic for fire. No, I'm just playing. No.
Oh, by the way, speaking of, the swag rating for you has been like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Chat's not impressed with the way you.
Yeah. I mean, I tried on the pose for the world boner. I tried, but
yeah.
Are we allowed to say
there were
that?
there were some
I think
spots
so,
I definitely
yeah.
got to work on my swag.
Oh,
he's going for the big boy.
Yeah,
strap.
why not, right? Let's go. This is Dark Magician's last race, I believe. So let's end it.
By the way, I'm probably on a major delay, so I'm still watching the fight happening.
You might be watching from my restream, so you probably stream within a stream right now? Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I like it. I like what he did there. Good strategy by Dark Magician. He said, okay, I don't have fire. Well, then I'm going to fight him like a big boy. That's a real man right there.
It
Look
is.
at him. He's still doing it. That's a real man right there.
It's getting it on him. Has him half dead. 5/8.
You know, I never beat Dark Link straight up. Never. I tried as a kid. I don't know how many times, and I Because when I finally got past Thunderbird, I was like, oh my god, I beat the game. And then you get to Dark Link, you're like, oh. By then you have no lives left, and you're half dead, and he just fucking one-shots you, and you're done.
But an awesome kill right there. I'm sorry, James, I spoiled it for you, but an awesome kill.
Wow. Props, man. Dude, he's getting really good.
I mean, that was...
If he enters the right... If there's another tournament next year and he enters it, man, watch out for this guy. He's going to kill it.
Well, let's call it what it is. I mean, it wasn't sub 90, which people tend to shoot for. It was sub 100 with a game over and the unfortunate thing that happened to him in Palace 4. Certainly, it was definitely a sub 90 run, if not sub 85.
Yeah. I mean, if it was that close when that happened, I mean, that's really, really unfortunate that happened. But if it was that close, man, I'm just really, really impressed with how much he's grown, and I'm really excited to see where he goes from here.
Hopefully, he wants to join us, so you can wish him well and stuff. Did he leave IRC? Nope. Ah, and there he is. Hello, Dark Magician. Good game to you.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I could be better.
You want to take us through what happened there in Palace 4 first?
So, I think I won the award for the biggest blunders of the tournament, taking attack 9 and then trying to run through Palace 4 with the Magic 2.
Yeah, what led up to that Magic 2? I kind of saw you stop there for a second when you missed the Magic level. I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah,
Dig Shake says
I
what
said
happened in
very-
Palace. Oh, I'm sorry. You can hear him. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I tried to set up Fairy so I could Fairy the item, and then I got the level way too early because I was only at Magic 2 entering. I'm usually at Magic 3 and I get the level right before the item and then I can Fairy it. So I skipped it at 300 and then I got to 800 and I just wasn't thinking. I was like, oh, I'll skip it and get it later. And the rest is history.
Well, you did
It
a great
wasn't
job recovering.
until I got... Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, it wasn't until I reached the room before Karok and I menued to reflect that I realized that I didn't have enough.
See, we debated a little bit when you realized, because just before you took the boots, you decided to do a 32 jump slash thing at the podium. And I said, like, I tried to make light of it. I'm like, oh, he's doing a strat here to set up an encounter. And Dig Shake goes, oh, he's probably mad about something. And then all of a sudden, it's like, Dig's like, wait, he has Magic 2. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I look at my sheet, and Magic 2, it cost 120 to cast Reflect. And we're like, uh-oh. And we thought at that point you knew about it, but then you kept going through 4 up until you queued up the spell before Carrick, and we're like, oh, he just now realized it. Can we just say, and I think Dig just said it before, I talked over him, how well you handled that and how well you did time-wise in going to 5, going back to 4, and then still beating the game?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, the Grand Palace could have been better. I went for the safety fairy because I wanted to go crazy on T-Bird, but
and then you died getting
Bots
to
had
the
other suggestions.
I mean, you died doing that, but you're not going to go crazy if you didn't mess up the Palace 4 and known you already lost, right? So you would have been a little bit more. You probably would have just kept going down, right? And just been a little bit more cautious at Thunderbird, or were you going to take that one up anyway?
If I was on break or pace, like if I didn't screw up, I would have just skipped it.
Yeah, okay. So that's hindsight right there. So even with that, even with the Palace 4 thing, you did sub 100. But even like you know, definitely on pace to just, if not catch James, finish at least no more than 90 seconds, 2 minutes behind him, and it would have been sub 85. It would have been really good. What is your PB?
A 128.
Oh, you would.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
Dude,
Okay.
you were
I'm so
way
bad.
ahead of me.
Yeah, you were.
By the way, Dark Magician, I just want to say good game, man. And
game.
I can't wait to watch it. It sucks what happened, dude, but it sounds like you right on my butt, and it would have been close, dude.
Yeah, I was a minute ahead leaving P3, according to my splits. and everything had been gold up to that point. And then, yeah.
Dude, that sub 85 is coming soon, man. And just seeing how far you've come in this tournament, dude, like you've gotten so much better. I just want to say props to you, man. And keep running the game. I mean, take a break if you want, but you've gotten so much better, dude. And this community is awesome, and I'm glad you're a part of it.
Thank you.
With that said, man, unfortunately you're out of the tournament, but I believe that was your 4th game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have no more tournament races left, but what's on the horizon for you? Anything you want to plug here?
Oh, no, I'm just running whatever. By the way, Beauty and the Beast, a game that I originally started running, has one other runner, so feel free to go watch the run and start running that game. It's a great game.
Does it have a randomizer? I'll be interested in that. No? Okay. So no Parappa the Rapper for either of you guys, I'm guessing. So.
Hey, I'm getting Parappa the Rapper just because of you guys.
I know. Listen, I there's a spike in sales of that game, or at least downloads of it, and you know, you're welcome, people that make the game. But good game to both of you, and thanks for letting us call the action here, and good luck to you both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for handling.
No problem.
Sorry.
So that wraps up this match. 2Gamers1Nerd defeating darkmagician1184. Make sure you follow both runners at the appropriate links that I'm kind of typing out right now, and then make sure you follow the tournament at this website, and you can check out the results, the standings, and the schedule of what's upcoming, and maybe even possibly in some instances where to catch the video on demand for past races. Dig Shake, any final words?
No, just thanks, Larry. Sorry I was late to the match, but it's been a pleasure as always.
No problem. Thank you for joining me, and everybody stay tuned for more races and more excitement in the 100% Any Keys tournament. Thank you.